And it looks like we're going live on YouTube, and we are live on YouTube. And now let's go again. We're going to go across the street and pick up our friends on Facebook live stream. With that said, we're on live stream. Lekum.
Alaikum salam.
And as promised earlier today, here we are tonight, sundown on the east coast of the United States of America, in a state called Florida, a city in the south of Florida is known as Miami. And as promised earlier, here we are today, or tonight. We say today and tonight. We say today because this is the beginning of our day at sundown. Our days start at sundown. And we're now in the 23rd day of the 11th month of our solar calendar, which is the Hebrew solar calendar. So that's true. The year 6025. Again, today at now sundown on the east coast of the United States is our 23rd day of the 11th month of our solar year 6025, not to be confused with November 23rd of their calendar. This is the 11th month of our calendar. And according to today's date, the 23rd day of the 11th month, we have 7 more sundowns to go before we reach the final day, the 30th and final day of our 11th month. Each one of our months have 30 days, exactly 30 days, the 30-day cycle, times 12 months equals 360 perfect days of a perfect cycle that makes a circle. And then we go into our next year, not a new year. Hebrew Israelites do not celebrate a new year. Neither do we have, according to our testimony today in part 7 of I Change Not. We do not even recognize months, especially the month that they thought was named Abib. For more information on that, you would have to tune in and watch our video that was recorded earlier on this same calendar's date, Gregorian calendar, which is January 31st. For the record, on their calendar, Gregorian, this is now January 31st, the last day of their first month of their new year that my Father hates. According to Isaiah chapter 1, beginning at verse 14, new moons and your solemn feasts and your assemblies, my Father hates. And that's why Hebrew Israelites are not to recognize any new moons or new months or new years or Abib. Do not recognize Abib as the name of the first month of a year. It is not. It's symbolic and it's also scientific. It's cryptic in its codex until it was revealed today and loosed out of the third seal of Revelation. And now that we have that out of the way, if you're going to join us, please grab your King James Version Bible. This is our epilogue. Again, our epilogue of our testimony is titled, and I quote, I changed not. End quote. That's in part of Malachi chapter 3, verse 6, that we'll get to in a moment. But first, grab your Bible, your King James Version, and grab something to write with. Take notes. Your concordance you probably won't need. This is an epilogue. So just stay tuned, pay attention, watch, and learn. So now that we have our record on what day it is of both calendars, and we're now looking at Eastern Standard Time about a little past 8:30. At the same time, it's also about 7:30 in the Central, and then the Midwest. You're looking at around 6:30, and then all of a sudden we're at 5:30 in the West Coast, a 3-hour difference. So I would say, with that said, we're right on schedule. In fact, we're early. I said we'll be back at 7 o'clock. So it being now that we're into the 23rd day, early we started on the 22nd day of our solar calendar. Again, this is our editorial. I change not. Reference Malachi chapter 3, verse 6. So, in fact, read that. That'll be our first scripture during this editorial that we're going to read. Malachi chapter 3, beginning at verse 6. There's a message there. Some of my people were led to believe that this has something to do with money and paying tithes. And that's what our people, those wolves, are licking their chops for, waiting on my people to come to their feasts in a few weeks. It's called Passover and Feast of Unleavened Bread. If you do not have a Bible, we're going to share our Bible with you. If you look over my head on the monitor, we provide a King James Version Bible for you. As you hear one of our angels read, it was prophesied that you will hear a voice of an angel. You will not see the face, but you will hear the voice, as said in Revelation, the whole book called Revelation. You hear voices of angels. Would you read that, please?
Malachi chapter 3, verse 6, quote, "For I am the Lord, I change not."
Period. That should have been a period. We shouldn't have to go any further than that. That's period. Who said it?
The Lord.
The Lord. If you believe in the Lord or God or whatever you call him, then here is a news flash. He does not change. He said, I change not. And what else did he say?
Therefore, ye sons of Jacob are not consumed.
He means that. The sons of Jacob are 12. Jacob is also known as Israel. You can confirm that in the book called Genesis, that you call Genesis. There's no J in Hebrew. J was not added to the English alphabet until 1630 that year. So we do not pronounce the first book of the Bible, the King James Version, as Genesis. The first book is Genesis with a Gimel. Our Hebrew alphabet, the third Gimel, is pronounced Gimel. It created there what you call G. So if it created the G, then why they pronounce it as a J? It's Gimel. So when you look in the book called Genesis in chapter 49, beginning at verse 1, and you read through verse 28, then you'll know who the sons of Jacob are. 12. The 12 tribes of Israel today. So you're not consumed. That's the good news. You're not consumed. But now you're about to read some bad news. What's the bad news? Read on.
Even from the days of your fathers, verse 7, ye are going away from mine ordinances.
That's the bad news. Jacob, you sons of Israel, you went away from the ordinances of your God, especially Judah. And because you did that, here you are in bondage, in a land of strangers, sojourning. For over 468 years now, from 1555 to 16th century, you've been in bondage as slaves. And all this time, you thought you were colored and African Americans, speaking a language that is not even yours, carrying around names, first and last names, that are not yours, carrying around a culture that you should not be carrying around and recognizing, eating outside of your ordinances, things that you should not be eating. In fact, things that are not even consumed should be consumed by dogs and pigs. In fact, that's what you're eating. Pigs. That's ordinances. You went away from that. In fact, the pig or the swine or the hog, whichever you prefer, is the filthiest animal on the planet. It was designed by my father and created to clean up after the Cro-Magnon man, the Neanderthal men and women, mankind, the caves of Europe. Even wild hogs were designed and created to clean up after the caveman, per se. It is the only animal on this planet that has no arteries in its veins. No arteries. No arteries. It has 999 different types of diseases and worms inside of it that lives in the flesh. Not 999 disease or worms total. That's 999 different types of worms and diseases that lives inside of that body of a hog or a pig or swine that does not have arteries to get rid of the filth and the poison that goes inside of its veins of the blood. That means if a rattlesnake bites a pig, it will not die. That means the venom that's inside the rattlesnake that goes inside the pig stays inside the pig, and when it's slaughtered and butchered and put in packages and sold in your food markets as pork chops and pork ribs and pork sausages and bacon and bologna and ham sandwiches, ham that you put on your tables every Thanksgiving that you have no idea what you're celebrating. You think Thanksgiving's for you. And I don't see your picture nowhere around those Indians and pilgrims on those photographs that they use for Thanksgiving. But you eat that. And when you eat that pig, you're eating poison and filth and worms that's going inside of your body. And you want to know why you're fat. You are what you eat. Fat pigs. Some even eat the pig fat and pig feet. Here's a pig walk around and slop in a pig pen of mud and worms and even its own filth. Walk around, and then you eat the feet of the pig that walked on all that filth. You went away from the ordinances of your own God, and you think that's all right. And some who were with him since 1979, some were with him. And after he ascended in 2007, on May 7, 2007, on Monday, on Tuesday, you went right back to your filth. He ascended on May 7, 2007, and May 8th, Tuesday, 2007, you went right back to the bacon. In fact, you may have went back before you ascended. You may have started on November 8th, 1990. Went right back to eating that filth outside the ordinances, but yet you are not consumed. But even from the days of your father, you went away from those ordinances and have not kept them. Read on. What else it says?
Return unto me, and I will return unto you.
That's a promise. Said who?
Said the Lord of hosts.
That's all you have to do. Will you return? But you may be asking, how do we return? Well, here I am to guide you and take you right back to him. Read on, let's see.
But ye said, wherein shall we return?
How did I know you was going to ask that question? How do you return? Read on.
Will a man rob God?
Will that? I know a couple of foundations that are robbing him. They are selling his products online on his fame. Actually, not his products. They have become their products. They're selling photographs, DVDs, CDs, books, even keychains, pencils, ink pens, rulers, T-shirts that has his photo images on there, and looking for prices at a set price to order them online, and then they'll send it to you in shipping that you also pay for, shipping and handling. Robbing God. But will a man rob God? Let me answer that question. Yes, can. Yet ye have robbed my father. Read it. Let's see if that's what it said.
Yet ye have robbed me.
I answered after he said that. He already said it. What else it says?
But ye say, wherein have we robbed
Now they're
thee?
going to act ignorant, don't know how they robbed him. Asking an ignorant question. How we robbed you, Yahweh? Call him Yahweh. Some say Yodhidwave. Read on. Let's see what he said.
In tithes and offerings.
Now, see, they think that's money. And that's why they are posting and advertising for my people to come to them in Georgia and Texas, that you should not appear before him empty. So how is that when he's not going to be there? How are you going to go to Texas at a feast and not appear before him empty and he's not there? And yet they tell you, do not come here empty. And the first thing they ask you for is, where are your tithes? Some don't even go to pay their tithes. Some pay their tithes from their house. Put it in an envelope in the form of a check or money order and send it to them. And they go right to the bank and cash it. And go pay their house bills, automobile bills, paying their tithes. Tithes is not money. I already went over that. I revealed that years ago, that tithes has nothing to do with the filthy lucre of this U.S. bent government. It is not money. Have you studied 2.4 hours, 2.40 hours a day? Have you studied? Have you taken out 2.40 hours a day? That's 2 hours and 40 minutes. Have you taken out that much time to give back to him, to serve him and thank him and study and do nothing but for him that time of day? He gave you 24. You mean you can't give back 2 hours to him every day and do something for him as you do for yourself the other 22 hours or 21 and 30 minutes or whatever? Yet you robbed him in tithes and offerings. You don't even offer him nothing. But you say, well, how could we offer him something he's not here? Yes, he is. You offer him your soul and return back to him your ordinances. Return back to him. That's what you offer. Your very life that he gave you, your soul that belongs to me. According to Ezekiel chapter 18, verse 4. All souls are mine. Even those who have gone away from the ordinances are still mine. What's thine is mine. What's mine is thine. That's what he told me. Read on. What else it says?
Verse 9.
Mm-hmm.
Ye are cursed with a curse.
See what happened? You wonder why you're walking around and riding around and crawling around like you're doing today in this hell of America. You are cursed. You were cursed when you went on the slave ship. When they put that yoke of iron around your neck, you were cursed. From Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15, you were cursed. From verse 15 of Deuteronomy chapter 28, you were cursed all the way up to verse 68, when you were put on ships and sold as bondmen and bondwomen on a slave auction block in a slave market, like the same pig that you're eating from the pig market. You became a slave market. So what else it says?
For ye have robbed me, even this whole nation.
Some of the nation?
This whole nation.
The whole nation of Israel, all 12 tribes of sons of Jacob, robbed your own God, and you don't even know it. So what must say? What's the consequences or the results?
Verse 10.
Verse 10.
Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse.
They still think that's money. You don't even know what the storehouse is. Neither do you know what the tithes is. And right now, the storehouse is talking to you. You don't even know it. You think that's physical. You think that's literal. And if it was money, just hypothetically speaking, what if it was money? Could you imagine how much money is in their storehouse?
Mm.
And what do you want the money for, the storehouse? What's it doing? What's it going to do? Right now, this planet is being recognized as a dearth. It's being recognized and experiencing a dearth. Right now, dearth and natural disasters. You call it climate change. There's no climate change. It's time for a new man. That's the change, a new man.
Mm-hmm.
And an everlasting man, forever. So what else they must do?
That there may be meat in mine house.
Now you think that's the physical meat that you just bought from your local market that you make a bologna sandwich out of. That's not the kind of meat. That meat goes a long way. In fact, that's me at you right now. That's me at you. MEAT. Me at you. Here I am, right here at you. Me. The meat. And what?
And prove me now herewith.
Prove it. Go ahead.
Said the Lord of hosts. If I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there will not be room enough to receive it.
See the blessings? If you return to him by tithes, not money, don't you send me no money. I'm going to give you our post office box before we log off, before we sign off. I'm going to show you our post office box and invite you to write to us to find out more information on how you're going to come here during the feast of Passover and leavened bread. The feast of Passover and leavened bread. Before I forget, I might as well show you now. This is our post office box. The Celestial Lodge of Miami. That's Florida. Post office box 472072, Miami, Florida 33247. You can write anything you like, questions, or if you want directions on how to get here, that's fine. We're not asking you for money. You can't pay me. The minute you pay me, I become your servant. Then I'll have to call you master. You cannot buy this anyway. This is free. You already sold yourselves for naught. Your father said, you sold yourselves for naught. You shall be redeemed without money. According to Isaiah chapter 52 and verse 3. Read it and make a note. It's there. So what do these people look like begging you for money? To come to a feast that my Father hates, that they appointed. Is that all?
That was the end of verse 10.
That's all we need. That's the end. We're in the last days. That's the end enough. And now, with that said, I'm your host. I hosted that thesis for, 7 parts. That's like 6.5 days. We put 2 in one day of that 24-hour period. But I'm your host. Whether you like it or not, there's nothing you can do about it or of it. I'm your host. My name was not known from the beginning. I said my name was not known from the very beginning. The world only knew me by the appellations that were created by mankind. Mankind turned theologians of various religions, cults of this world. The religions of this world are cults. In case you didn't know that, you've been deceived into believing that. If you read in your newspapers, in the Time magazines or any type of magazines, you may have saw it on the History Channel or on a network that's called Oxygen, that they need oxygen. Where they're going to need a lot of oxygen. You may have heard from the outside, trying to look in, that you thought that the one they called Yahweh ben Yahweh was running a cult. Not realizing that the biggest cult, the world's biggest cult, is called Christianity. So you never studied the word cult. And the minute you study the word cult, take about 2 hours and 40 minutes of the day to pay your tithes just on cult. And you discover that cults is a religion that's following a God that is not alive, that does not live. A religious worship. We do not practice religion. We do not recognize religion. We don't use religion in our vocabulary. We do not know religions. All nations made gods of their own, according to 2 Kings chapter 17, verse 29. We're the only nation in existence that did not make a god of our own. That means what? We're the only nation in existence whose God made us. Our God made us. And every other nation made a god of their own. Why? He also made them, but they're not satisfied with him. So they made their own God. And think that their God can outdo our God who created them. I like to see it. Since you went to a God that you created, then have your God stop the snow from falling. Have your God stop the tornadoes that's coming. That's already here. Have your God stop the floods that's flooding Europe, all over Europe. Have your God stop it from snowing in Las Vegas, Nevada. Have your God stop the snow from falling in the Middle East, in the deserts of Saudi Arabia. Have your God stop the earthquake that's coming about soon, that I called for. Have him stop that earthquake in California. You haven't seen the earthquake yet, but it's coming. You ever heard of a 10.5 on the Richter scale? Have your God stop that. Have your God stop the heat that's coming this May, that's going to start this May. Have your God stop that. He's greater than my God. That's what you said. You created it. Have your God stop the hail that's going to fall on your head soon and break the windshields of your cars. Right here in the United States, called America hell. Have your God stop that. Have your God stop me. Have your God stop me from fulfilling prophecy and calling on the 7 shepherds and 8 principal men that I promised I would do in the last days. Have your God drive the river that he saw standing on the bank on that side of the river who Daniel saw. Have him stop me. Have him stop that from happening. Have your God stop me from the 7 chapters of a book called Micah. Each chapter became a testimony of this testimony thesis that I deployed this time. Have him stop that. Have your God stop that. Have your God stop the Christ from returning, if he can or she can. You worship a she God. Some even worship a she God. Help them stop that. Help them stop me from destroying the devil and all of death in this land. Have your God stop the end of this world from becoming the end of this world, if he can change it. Have your God prolong your time to rule this world. Cain, Lucifer, Luciferians, Hallel, Lucifer, Luciferians and Luciferi. Even the women, Luciferi, Lucifer. Have your God stop that. Have your God stop me from gathering my people together to deliver them back to the Middle East. Have your God stop that. Speaking by the passport. He's going to pass all right. He's going to pass right by the port of one of those ships. It's going to beam a light on them and they're going to disappear. Their flesh of their eyes will consume out of the sockets of their skull as a flesh belt before it hits the ground. Stop that from happening. I beg your pardon. You only knew me. You thought you knew me. So this world only knew me as Meek of the Morasite. Some call me Michael, the great prince. Some knew me as Yahshua, the son of Nun. Some even knew me as Melchizedek, Shimshon, or Samson in English, for which by created an animated drawing of an artwork that is titled, and I quote, "The Mighty Black Man," end quote. As well as some knew me as Shalomo, or Solomon, which is peace in Hebrew, Shalom. Some knew me as the Son of Man of Ezekiel, Elijah, the messenger of Malachi, chapter 3, and verses 1 through 6. Turn to that. You in Malachi, go back and read verses 1 and go up to verse 5. You read verse 6. Go back and read verses 1 through 5. Malachi. We started there. What's that say? Begin with behold.
Behold, I will send my messenger, and he shall prepare the way before me. And the Lord, whom ye seek, shall suddenly come to his temple.
You don't believe that. Why? Because it's in the Bible. That's why you don't believe it. That's because you don't even know who Elijah is. There was no Elijah Muhammad. There was no such Elijah. There was no Muslim. There was no one from Ishmael to become a messenger. You're a Muslim liar. Here my people are Hebrew Israelites, have adopted a religion called Islam. They have no idea how far they are in the con. They're being conned so far away from the truth. I mean, far, far away of a con. They have no idea what their natural culture is. It's Hebrew. I never heard of Arabian. I never heard of Saudi Arabia or any Arab going into captivity and bondage. I haven't. Maybe they have. But I did not see in any slave market an Iranian or Iraq or a Syrian going into slavery and bondage and right here in America picking cotton. I haven't seen that. There's no such thing as a Martin Luther Muhammad who had a dream. That's all he had, a dream that turned into a nightmare. And right now they're still having nightmares. No Elijah Muhammad. Elijah, that's not even a name. That's an appellation. That means God is Yahweh. Or God is Yod. Elijah. Yod. What else it says?
Even the messenger of the covenant, whom ye delight in, behold, he shall come, said the Lord of hosts.
Stop it from coming. Go get your God, since your God is so mighty. Stop this messenger from coming. Stop him from fulfilling verse 2. Read it.
But who may abide the day of his coming? And who shall stand when he appeareth?
Wow.
For he is like a refiner's fire, and like fuller's soap. Stop
the soap from soaping. Have your God stop this soap that's full of soap. As this is full of soap, so are you full of read the next verse.
And he shall sit as a refiner and purifier of silver. And he shall purify the sons of Levi and purge them as gold and silver.
And what?
That they may offer unto the Lord an offering in righteousness.
Right, and righteousness. Read verse 4.
Then shall the offering of Judah and Jerusalem be pleasant unto the Lord.
And
as in the days of old,
just as in the days of old, just like it.
and as in former years.
How you going to change that? That's why verse 6 says what it says. Look what's happened before verse 6.
And I will come near to you to judgment, and I will be a swift witness against the sorcerers, and against the adulterers, and against false swearers, and against those that oppress the hireling in his wages.
Who?
The widow and the fatherless, and that turn aside the stranger from his right, and fear not me, said the Lord of hosts.
Look at all this what happened before verse 6, and you think you can change that. No wonder verse 6 says, for I am the Lord, I change not. And that's the title of this testimony. I change not. As a reminder for some who may have thought he changed after November 7th, 1990, or maybe 1992 of February. Or how about Monday, May 7, 2007? Maybe he changed. He changed his mind. And now you can go in and do what you like to do. Be what you want to be. Go where you want to go. Eat what you want to eat. Drink what you want to drink. All that you change. You thought you can change that. Nevertheless, I'm also known as the Comforter of John chapter 14 and verse 26. And finally, my celestial soul is most infamously known today as Jesus in Greek. You hear that, Greeks? Jesus is here. And so is Jesus in Spain or Spanish. Jesus is here. Or Spanish Creole, Jesus. Like among the Cubans and Mexicans and Mexicans and Puerto Rico, to my own people, as well as to my own people, is known as Jesus. That's even, they learned that from the white English man. Euphemized name from the English slave masters. That's what they learned. Jesus. That is who I am. That's just to name a few of their English's appellations, their English, Greek, and Spanish appellations. Praise Yod.
Praise Yod.
Needless to say, however, none of those English appellations is my celestial name. None of them. None of them is my name. I am wearing my name. I'm wearing my celestial name on my forehead. That's what my name is. No one knew this name. I just introduced this to this planet a little less than a year ago. My name from right to left, not from left to right. From right to left, you should see Yod, Kaf, Sheen, Mem, Memsophi on my forehead in gold. Just as it said in Revelation chapter 19, verse 12. And even my bronze complexion. It's pronounced Yokashimium. Yokashimium. You can pronounce it and call it, but you must also look for a response in the call. I'm introducing to some and reminding others what my name is, as I did a little less than a year ago. Yokashimium. Again, 5 Hebrew characters from right to left. Yod, Kaf, Sheen, Mem, Memsophi, the final Mem. I am that very same one who was crucified by the men of Yehuda, not Rome. There's no such thing as Jesus being nailed to the cross. You may have nailed your Jesus to the cross in your paintings and your fairy book tales, your movies, but there was no Hebrew Israelite, the king of the Hebrews, the Jews, or the Yehudites, that was crucified to a cross. You need to read your Bible. That's proven in a book called Acts, chapter 5, verse 30. And chapter 10, verse 39, just to name 2. But never crucified and nailed to no cross. Show me what nailed to the cross in the Bible, King James Version. Nevertheless, I'm that very same one that was crucified by the men of Yehuda over 2,023 years ago. Over the Middle East, not in Rome. Over in the Middle East. In fact, and by truth, as a reminder, I am he that liveth and was dead. And behold, I am alive forevermore. Amen.
Yeah.
and have the keys of hell and of death that I went over today earlier on their calendar, January 31st, 2023. You can go back and look at part 7 of this thesis. That's reference Revelation chapter 1, verse 18. I'm the same one. Aloki Sava. Shel Yotibwavhe. Sad Yod Sheen. Resh Yotibwavhe. Yod Kaf Sheen Mem Sophie. Wab. Aloki Yakid. Shava. Shel Maam Yi. Yotibwavhe. Gawi. You should wrestle Yotibwavhe. Gawi. Yotibwavhe. Gawi Kitma. Kadesh Shujlayim. Yoshi Resh Alav Yotibwavhe. Ani Mem Sophie. Ani He. Reshith. Malek. Ani He. Yod Kaf Sheen Mem Sophie. Bayin Reshith. Ani Gam Yat Kates. Asher Hu. Asher Haya. Asher Bo. Hey. Shalayi. Gadol. Baruch Hashem. Sal Yoke. Yod Kaf Sheen Mem Sophie. Jabakabo. Baruch Hashem. Hoshem Yod Hevave Olam. And I'm sure you know just what I said, don't you, Judah? And some have their mouth wide open. Close your mouth before the flies fall in and fly in. Anyway, my people of Judah that have now lost the comprehension of what I just said, my special soul just said, they have no idea what I said. Why? Not even the Jews comprehended what I said. They speak in a language that they speak Hebrew Creole. I'm speaking celestial Hebrew. No one can comprehend what I'm saying except I tell you. My people of Judah have learned English. They write English, speak English, read English. They understand a little of English. They only understand a little the English language. They got it from their slave masters. Anyway, here's what I said. I'm not going to leave you at bay. I'm not going to leave you out there like that. Here's what I said in our celestial tongue from out far from beyond this planet that's not even known by the false Jews that I'm here to punish, at least punish these last days. Here's what I said. I said, I am the host of Yodewave, Yokashimium. And I'm only the host to my own people of Yodewave, the nation of Israel, the nation of Yodewave, of the east of the New Jerusalem, Yokashimium, Israel. I am Mem the first, and I'm also Mem Sophie the last. I'm the chief angel. I am Yokashimium from the beginning, and I'm also here at the end, which is and which was and which is to come, which is come, the almighty great prince, Yokashimium. Glory, praise, honor, and blessed is the name Yodewave forever. That's what I said. Reference Revelation chapter 1, verse 8. Would you like to read it? Go to Revelation chapter 1, verse 8. They redacted it. See, they redacted that by English. The English theologians of the world, they redacted that to read in English verbatim. Find it. Revelation chapter 1, verse 8. There's no such thing as a Hebrew calling himself an alpha by the Greek alphabet or omega of the Greek alphabet. What's that say? Revelation chapter 1, verse 8. You have it? I'll read it. When you have it, so you can follow it, you have it? Okay. I am Alpha. No such thing. I said I am Mem. If anything, I would be Aleph. But I can't say I'm Aleph because my Ab is Aleph, symbolic. A. And I'm B. No way I said Omega. The beginning and the ending, said the Lord. See that lowercase Lord? Which is and which was and which is to come. See, it was expecting me to come. The Almighty. Period. You ever think after Almighty? No. What? The Almighty what? See, you would think the Almighty God. It's the Almighty Great Prince. But they didn't put that there. Yes, I am the same one who promised to return to raise against those that have now treaded in our palaces over in the Middle East. As I have now raised against them 7 shepherds and 8 principal men, just as I said I would, hidden in this thesis, all 7 parts. And all 8 that are now found in the King James Version Holy Bible, the principal men. And that's from Genesis to Malachi. The principal men was there too, and you did not see them. I had them incognito. But I will identify them in a few moments. In fact, all 15 of these men I'm going to reveal in a few moments during this editorial. All 15. In the meantime, nevertheless, I have now obeyed the commandment from mine of. I obeyed his commandment, whom this entire planet is calling by its own appellation that is world renowned today as, I quote, God, end quote. Even, I quote, God Almighty, end quote. They're always calling him by his name God, the appellation God, God Almighty, and or, quote, the mighty God, end quote. Reference Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6. I have produced and completed what I was told to do. And I have now done that. And I'm also going to do something else during this editorial. I'm going to do what's found in a book called Ezekiel. I'm going to complete that. And another part of the book called Ezekiel, but not now. Right now, I've completed what I was told to do in the book called Ezekiel chapter 37. Begin at verse 15. You hear it? Verse 15, as in 7 shepherds plus 8 principal men. 7 plus 8 equals 15. And that reads, go to it, Ezekiel chapter 37, beginning at verse 15. You got it? Ezekiel chapter 37, that starts out with the valley of dry bones. The valley of dry bones.
We have it.
You have it?
Yeah.
Okay. Read that, begin at verse 15.
Ezekiel 37:15.
See, you have to read that because you are putting in the third person.
Right.
These are the words that were spoken to me. I can't say them.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be said to me. So you're the third person. My father's the first. So who do you think the second is?
Right.
Okay, read that, please.
Verse 15, quote,
Mm-hmm.
the word of the Lord came again unto me, saying, verse 16,
Read on.
moreover, thou son of man, take thee one stick and write upon it for Judah and for the children of Israel, his companions.
Okay, now hold it. See, I have to reveal this as we go along. I took one stick. And you didn't even see it. I was reading it to you for 7 parts, one stick, and it's stuck. It's called a laptop computer. The word stuck right there on the keys and on the screen. That's the stick. They did not move. I took one stick. And then I took another stick from the computer and turned it into a rod. Let's see if we come to another stick. Take what?
Then take another stick.
I did. I revealed it today as a rod of a bib. So it's 2 sticks. And write upon it. And I did. I wrote upon that stick. And I wrote 3 or 4 chapters on that stick, a bib, the rod in the middle of A, B, B. The pole. For what? For Joseph? Okay.
The stick of Ephraim, and for all the house of Israel, his companions.
And I did. And all that I wrote is for them. And do what in verse 17?
And join them one to another into one stick.
I did. One thesis. That means, and I wrote a total, and here we are again today, 347 hours I've been writing. 347 hours. I was just done writing this. The editorial. It took me 3 hours to write this editorial. And in case you had noticed, I'm reading. I speak and do nothing of myself. Whatsoever I shall hear, that shall I speak. And he said it. He came to my mind. He put it in my mind. I wrote it, and now I'm reading it like a teleprompter. But this is a celestial prompter. It is a celestial prompter of mental telepathy, of divine intelligence, superior, supreme power from the celestial world, far beyond this planet, of and from the celestial lodge. That's what I'm reading. Man cannot do this. Neither can mankind do this. Read verse 17 again from the beginning.
And join them one to another into one stick, and they shall become one in thine hand.
And that's what they did. My hand is what controls the mouse and the keyboards, or the keyboard. Verse 18.
And when the children of thy people shall speak unto thee, saying, Wilt thou not show us what thou meanest by these?
And I am. I'm going to show you this epilogue. What I mean by these sticks. I showed you a little of it just now. At least I told you. Verse 19.
Say unto them, Thus saith the Lord God.
Behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribe of Israel, his fellows, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick. They will stick together as one, and they shall be one in mine hand. And the sticks whereon thou writest shall be in thine hand before their eyes. Read on, verse 27.
Verse 21.
Verse 21.
And say unto them, Thus saith the Lord God.
Behold, I will take the children of Israel from among the heathen, whether they be gone, and will gather them on every side, and bring them into their own land, and will bring them into their own land, their own land. And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel. And one king shall be king to them all. And they shall be no more two nations. Neither shall they be divided into two kingdoms anymore at all. Neither shall they be defiled. They shall defile themselves anymore with their idols, nor with their detestable things, nor with any of their transgressions. But I will save them out of their dwelling places, wherein they have sinned, and will cleanse them. So shall they be my people, and I will be their God. That's why you couldn't read that. And what? Verse 24. You have to read that for a reason. You'll see.
Yeah. And David, my servant, shall be king over them, and they all shall have one shepherd, and they shall also walk in my judgments.
Not and they. There's not an and in front of they. Read it verbatim.
Okay. They shall also walk in my judgments, and observe my statutes, and do them. Verse 25. And they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt, and they shall dwell therein, even they and their children, and their children's children.
Just until the end of this year.
Forever.
No, just until 2023.
Forever.
You have forever in your Bible?
Yeah.
We'll make some think they can change that. Go get your God to change this. Have your God that you created, that you say is greater than my God, have him stop this forever from coming. In fact, show us your calendar with a date of forever ended. Oh, it's going to end. Read on.
And my servant David shall be their prince forever.
There it is again, that word. Show me what David, that you think of David, is going to stop being a prince forever. Read verse 26.
Moreover, I will make a covenant of peace with them.
Hold it. a covenant of peace, that's shalom. Shalom, not shalom. That's shalom. In fact, pause here, put a marker here in your Bibles if you're following us, and turn to the book called Micah, chapter 5. Micah, chapter 5. Put a marker here. We come right back to Ezekiel 37. And read verse 5 of Micah chapter 5. Micah chapter 5, verse 5. Okay. You have it?
And this man shall be the peace, when the Assyrians shall come into our land.
Stop. You don't want to go any further because he's already in the land. Now go back to Ezekiel chapter 37. Follow these precepts. Follow these precepts, and I'm going to take you and make that crooked place. We'll make it straight. It's crooked. Resume in verse 26. It says, starting all over again. Moreover.
Moreover, I will make a covenant of peace with them.
The man.
It shall be an everlasting covenant with them, and I will place them.
So you see it there. That it is another allegory that represents him himself, the man himself. You'll find that in the concordance. Do you remember which one?
G846.
Pause there and go to G846. Yeah. So they can see that it is, they put it there. They put IT. That's translation or transliteration. So now we're going to identify it so you can see as a man, him himself, the man himself. G846. And what do you have? It.
Himself.
Yeah. Now what you did was you put G846 in the search box, but you can't prove that's it. That could mean anything. So what you're going to do is you're going to go to the search box and you're going to type in it, IT, and find out how many times it appears in the Bible. Then you're going to go to the New Testament where you get that G from for Greek, right? Somewhere around John, somewhere, it's going to give you the it, who told you who it is. So you can see the Greeks put that there. The Greeks put this it there, not the Hebrews. There is no vowel in Hebrew. Right. So he couldn't have put an IT. They would not even iron. Right. Iron or olive.
Yeah. We have it 6,128 times.
Wow. Now stroll down to a column and go to a New Testament book, because you're not going to find it in the Old Testament. You know, we never referred to each other as it in Hebrew. So only the Greeks did, because they are calling us it. They call him an it. It what? A Hebrew?
Yeah, we have it even in Revelation 19:15.
What Revelation 19:15 says? And out
of his mouth goeth a sharp sword.
Don't they heard that too during this thesis? And what?
That with it he should smite the
nations. See, that
nations.
it and the sword is him. He smite the nations with it, his tongue himself, his own tongue. Prove it. Now you got the it there. Okay. Click on it. What you have? 846. 846. Click on it. Let's see where it takes us.
And we have himself.
Himself. That's it. The man. Peace.
Even number 3, we have the same.
The same. The same man. The same it. The same sword with his mouth. Go back now to Ezekiel. And I believe you left off somewhere around
verse 26.
26.
Quote, moreover, I will make a covenant of peace with them. It shall be an everlasting covenant with them, and I will place them and multiply them, and will set my sanctuary in the midst of them forevermore.
You keep saying that like as if it ended. The devils want this to end. Like it was never supposed to happen. They're pretending like the world is not ending. Even planning elections and planning for next Christmas. Planning their cousin's wedding coming up in 2 months. Read verse 27.
Verse 27. My tabernacle also shall be with them. Yea, I will be their God, and they shall be my people.
Stop. You see that?
Yeah.
That sound familiar?
Very familiar.
Turn to Revelation chapter 21 and read verse 3. Here you are reading Ezekiel,
Right.
but you're also reading verse 27.
Mm-hmm.
It's coded. Read Revelation chapter 21 and verse 3. As in the third day.
Revelation 21:3 quote, and I heard a great voice out of heaven saying, behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them.
You heard a voice out of what?
Out of heaven.
No, New Jerusalem.
Right.
You to make that New Jerusalem. We know what heaven is now.
Mm-hmm.
So you heard a voice out of New Jerusalem saying what?
Saying, behold, the tabernacle of God is with men, and he will dwell with them, and they shall be his people, and God himself shall be with them.
God himself shall be with them,
and be their God.
And be their God. That sounds familiar. Sounds like a supplement of Ezekiel. Chapter 37, verse 27. Is that right?
Yeah.
Now go back and read Ezekiel chapter 37 and verse 27 again. Again, remember 27. As in October 27 and September 27. Of which now September 27, or what do you know of September 27? September 27 also produced septuplets. Septuplets. You heard of twins and triplets, quadruplets? Well, September produced septuplets. That's 7. And these septuplets are also the 7 shepherds of Micah chapter 5 and verse 5 that we will introduce to you very soon. So, but go back to read that.
Verse 27, quote, my tabernacle also shall be with them. Yea, I will be their God, and they shall be my people.
Now read verse 28.
Verse 28, and the heathen shall know that I, the Lord, do sanctify Israel, when my sanctuary shall be in the midst of them.
For how long?
Forevermore.
Is that it? Read verse 29.
That's it.
There is none, because it's forevermore. It's infinity. Now go back and read verse 24. Same chapter. Just go back. Now we're going to do a little synopsis as we get ready. This is editorial. This is going to end. Then I'm going to say it's finished. It's in Revelation.
Okay.
Read verse 24.
Verse 24.
Again.
And David my servant shall be king over them, and they all shall have one shepherd.
See, you read this, but I was told for you to continue reading to 28 because you had no idea what this meant. Because this is a part of the 7 shepherds. How many shepherds did it say?
Have one shepherd.
One shepherd. So where did these 7 shepherds come from? Since the God of the Hebrews said one shepherd here in Ezekiel, chapter 37, and verse 24. Where did they come from? I mean, one king shall be set over them. First of all, who is David? In English, who is David? Who is the D of the Avid? And where did the V come from? Go to Revelation chapter 22. Let me say something on this subject. Revelation chapter 22, I'm going to read verse 16, so you follow along with me. And as you can see, now we already turned the Greeks into a liar and the devil. During their transliteration, they have a name here that begins with a J for English. That's their God. In other words, they kidnapped the scrolls and held a ransom for your souls.
Wow.
And while doing so, they taught you their language so you can follow their God, who they say is greater than my God. I'm going to read that. I'm not going to read it verbatim. I know better. I'm making an announcement. I, Yokashimiam, have sent mine angel to testify to you these things in the nations of Israel. Who is mine angel? And what you see, mine angel. I am the root and the offspring of David. I'm both of what you see is David. But it's not David, it's Thou. And the bright and morning star. I'm the only one who came along after my father ascended, and who broke down Dowd with the Wab and not the Yod. Everyone else was saying Dawid or David with the V. Everyone was saying David. I came back and put it right back in perspective, in order. Dowd. There is no physical David. The name Dowd or David is another appellation for the Son of God, whom God the Father calls his Son, which is Dowd. From right to left, Dalet, Wav, Dalet, right in the middle. That means beloved. Reference H 1732. Go there and see. Because I have a shock for you. A shock. You have it H 1732. You should have Dowd. For David, Dowd means beloved.
Beloved.
Beloved. Now here's a shock. Remember when my father Hebrew was in prison by this United States government, they placed him on what is called their honorous roll. I mean, he was not to have contact with any of his followers. That included written, telephone, book, verbal. Write a little book for them and then pass it under the table so they could read it as a message. Well, he wrote books and they allowed that, but not personal messages in the book. But what they did not know is that he did it anyway. He wrote personal messages in all of his books to Dowd. Beloved. And one message he they gave to Dowd, he shared with all of you. It's called lesson number 5 of our true history, world's best kept secret. And you had no idea he was speaking to Dowd, and he gave you messages inside that lesson and told you to go to Dowd. He even told you to go to Milcah, which is the same appellation, the same one is called Micah. Micah is Dowd, and Micah is also who they call Jesus. I told you that earlier at the beginning of this editorial. But lesson number 5, you had no idea. And he was saying all throughout lesson number 5, you thought he was talking to you. And why would he call his hard-headed children beloved? Dearly beloved. We're warning you. For example, let's look at about maybe 10 minutes of that. Listen to about 10 minutes of that recording. And let's see another message he left with beloved. Dowd, speaking of Dowd. So go to, I think it's on YouTube. Go to YouTube and let's hear a little bit of lesson number 5 of our traditional world's best kept secret. Right? You are not a nigger, Yahweh. You're a God of gods. Yellow book.
Says the Lord.
Go ahead, play it.
Of hosts, Yahweh. Jeremiah chapter 7, verses 15 and 16 says, "And I will cast you out of my sight, as I have cast out all of your brethren, even the whole seed of Ephraim. Therefore pray not thou for this people, neither lift up cry nor prayer for them, neither make intercession to me, for I will not hear thee." Isn't that a terrible day? Things would be so bad that it would do you no good to pray? Why? for rejecting our God Yahweh. When you had a chance to accept his truth, you did not. This is when you will fulfill Revelation chapter 6, verse 16, when you will be crying to the mountains and rocks, "Fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand?" Don't forget, we are warning you that there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to that time before the creation of the earth. Nothing has been this bad since the creation of the earth. And at that time, thy people, the so-called blacks of America, shall be delivered, everyone that shall be found written in the book. What book? The Lamb's book of life. My book. Yahweh ben Yahweh's book. Yes, dearly beloved. And Daniel chapter 12, verse 2.
Yes, who?
Dearly beloved.
Dearly beloved. Dowd. Speaking of Dowd, because Dowd had to do something during the time, there's going to be a time of trouble like that was since there was a nation, to stand up for the truth of our people. Who? Dowd, also known as Michael, the great prince. Play on.
Will be fulfilled, which says, "And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt." This sleep is referring to your mental sleep. The dust refers to the worthlessness and the evilness of this society that you find yourselves living in the ghettos, taking drugs and the useless, vain conversations that take place, all the immoral and wicked conversation that takes place among our people living in the ghettos and in the cities of America. Isaiah chapter 66, verse 24 says, "And they that reject the truth shall go forth and look upon the carcasses of the men that have transgressed against me, Yahweh. For their worm shall..."
Did you hear that? My father said, "Against me, Yahweh." That's not in the Bible. He paused to let you know who he is. But they cannot accept that. And they don't believe it either. You know why? Because he said it. That's why I don't believe it, because he said it. And because in the Bible, they don't believe that. Let it play on.
Die, neither shall their fire be quenched, and there shall be an abhorring unto all flesh. Everybody will hate them. And we see that right now exhibited. Everybody on the earth hates the so-called black man of America. All the nations of the earth despise the so-called black man of America. Have you ever wondered why? Have you ever considered why? Here is a special warning to all you false Christians in Milcah chapter 5, verses 18 and 19, which says, "Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord Yahweh. To what end is it for you? As you cry for the day of the Lord in your churches, what end is it for you? The day of the Lord Yahweh is darkness. You don't know what you're crying for. Did you know you're crying for darkness?" That's what Micah chapter 5, verses 18 and 19 say. It would be a day, the day of the Lord Yahweh is darkness and not light. As if a man did flee from a lion and a bear met him, or went into the house and leaned his hand on the wall and a serpent bit him. Yes, dearly beloved, because you're lying, dumb.
Yes, dearly beloved, again. How was that coded? It was coded. It was under the honors rule, and he slipped it right in there under their nose, and they didn't even know it. Told you to turn to Milcah, and yet he was telling you to turn to Micah, to that time of trouble is coming. And then he called and told you that Micah is the dearly beloved. Dowd. Since when? And we went over that, but you can study it on your own. They didn't even hear him saying, "Turn to Milcah." He turned to Milcah, and yet he was reading out of Amos chapter 5, and verses 18 and 19. Anyway, praise Yod.
Praise Yod.
Now go back and read Ezekiel chapter 37 and verse 20 again. 20. Since we've revealed that before. You just study it. You just dead. He told you mentally sleep. You're mentally dead. You need to come out and be resurrected on the dust of the earth. Get that worthlessness out. You need a new man, real bad. You know what he said? You need a new man real bad. Read verse 20, Ezekiel chapter 37, 20.
Quote, and the sticks whereon thou writest shall be in thine hand before their eyes.
Whose eyes? I mean, whose eyes? I mean, does verse 19, is that connected to verse 20? You better take a look at verse 19 and see. Read verse 19.
Verse 19, quote, say unto them, thus saith the Lord God.
Unto who? Go ahead, read it.
Behold, I will take the stick of Joseph, which is in the hand of Ephraim, and the tribes of Israel his fellows, and will put them with him, even with the stick of Judah, and make them one stick, and they shall be one in mine hand.
So how is one stick going to have eyes? That should be only one eye. It's got a stick, though. So you don't know whose eyes these are because it's in Ezekiel, which is a cryptic book. It's cryptic. It's codexed. These eyes are the eyes of the 7 shepherds. One eye for each of the 7 shepherds. One eye per shepherd. Now I guess they're saying, ain't no such thing as 7 eyes. Well, I showed these 7 eyes to Zechariah. So turn to Zechariah chapter 3, as in the 3rd day. We're going to start at verse 1. Zechariah chapter 3. That means these eyes, if I'm correct, that means these eyes got to be connected to Yahshua, the son of Nun. If I'm correct. This is cryptic. Zechariah is a book of crypto. In chapter 4, see, this is chapter 3. In chapter 4, it goes on to show you more of these 7 shepherds. In the chapters, each one a pipe and a lamp. Each one a lamp, and 7 pipes in those lamps. Start at verse 1. Let's see what he showed. No, verse 1, Zechariah chapter 3. And he showed me, Yahshua, the high priest, standing before the angel of the Lord. I'm reading verbatim. And Satan standing at his right hand to resist him, and he is here. Satan is here. I told you Satan was here. Mm-hmm. And the Lord said unto Satan, the Lord rebuke thee, O Satan. Even the Lord that hath chosen Jerusalem rebuke thee. He's not this a branch. Is this not a branch that he plucked out of the fire? That's verse 2. That means Satan is already rebuked. You don't have to be afraid, Judah, to come back. Verse 3. You read verse 3.
Now Joshua was clothed with filthy garments and stood before the angel.
Those filthy garments are Western wear, not culture. Right. See, they didn't say what type of garments, but they, the filthy what? Yeah. Filthy shirt and pants and sweatsuit or shirt and tie. Or did it say dirty?
Filthy.
Now you got to study filthy. Read verse 4.
And he answered and spake unto those that stood before him, saying,
what?
Take away the filthy garments from him.
Uh-huh.
And unto him he said, Behold, I have caused thine iniquity to pass from thee, and I will clothe thee with change of remnant.
And he changed him. Joshua changed his remnant from white to purple, just as it was in the beginning. And what?
And I said, verse 5.
Verse 5.
Let them set a fair mitre upon his head. So
and his hair. is here. The fair mitre is on my head. So what?
So they set a fair mitre upon his head.
Here it is. And what?
And clothed him with garments.
And here they are. Here they are, right? The garments. And what?
And the angel of the Lord stood by.
You can't see him, but he's here. I guarantee you he's here. In verse 6.
And the angel of the Lord protested unto Joshua, saying,
as I was sitting here writing, what?
Thus saith the Lord of hosts, if thou wilt walk in my ways, and if thou wilt keep my charge, then thou shalt also judge my house.
Now you know only one in the Bible was told to be the judge.
Mm-hmm.
Read it. I mean, you don't have to go to it, but you can read on your own. Micah chapter 3 and verse 8.
Mm-hmm.
Full of judgment.
Yeah.
And what?
And shalt also keep my courts.
That's the law. Shiloh, the lawgiver.
Mm-hmm.
The judge.
Right.
And
I will give thee places to walk among these that stand by.
Verse 8.
Hear now, O Joshua.
Look who he's speaking to. The high priest. What?
The high priest. Thou and thy fellows that sit before thee.
All of them that sit before me right now, right here, are what?
For they are men wondered at.
They wonder. See, a lot of people are wondering where you at.
Mm-hmm.
Your family members, they wonder, where you at? For what?
For, behold, I will bring forth my servant, the branch.
Here's the branch from the fig tree, and the branch of the fig tree. That's all caps. Each letter is scientifically a word. You think it's branch, but it's not my task tonight and precept to break this down. You know I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it's already done. But I'm not told to do this. Read verse 9.
For behold, the stone that I have laid before Joshua, upon one stone shall be 7 eyes.
There it is. 7 eyes of Ezekiel chapter 37, verse 20. And all 7 of these eyes belong to Yeshua, the son of Nun, the high priest. And that is the 7 shepherds as follows. Now let's introduce these 7 eyes. 7 eyes that were apart. 7 parts of I change not. See the I? What's the first letter about change not? I. Now it's 7 of them, 7 parts. So go to the photographs, and we're going to show you that each day there was Joshua with the change of garment, took off the filthy garment and put on the change of garment.
Mm-hmm.
The first 2 has the same garment. Why? Because they're twins under Yod.
Right.
Right? Yod positioned twice. Yod and then Yod, Kaf, Sheen, Mem, Sophie. 2 Yods. Same 2?
Same 2.
That's parts 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Now you're going to look for part 3. You see them? They're there. Each shepherd a different garment every day. 7 shepherds.
That's part 3.
Part 3, different garment.
Different garment.
Take off the filthy garment.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next one? This is prophetical. This is prophecy being fulfilled. You had no idea. No one knew what this was. No one. It was sealed.
Part 4.
Part 4, different garment.
Different garment.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Take off the filthy garment.
Mm-hmm.
Put on a different garment. I guarantee every one of them has purple in it.
Again.
What's part 4? You got part 4?
Part 5.
Part 5, the 5th day.
Yeah.
Part 5, what? A different garment. And part 6 blended in with the same day. Part 6. Can you see it? You see it?
Part 6.
A different garment.
Different garment. Got it.
And finally, the 7th shepherd. Do the same calendar day today. Finally, the 7th day. Also, the 7th shepherd. Part 7. What? What kind of garment?
7.
Today.
Yeah, today. Yeah.
But it's a different garment, unlike today. It's just a high priest garment.
Mm-hmm.
Right? as in 8 principal men. Right? Because right now we're reading Ezekiel. Right now we're reading Zechariah from Ezekiel, from the 8 principal men. And all 7 of these shepherds are engraved in your stone heads, the hard heads of Judah. Go back and read verse 9 again of Zechariah chapter 3 and see now you know what the stones are. The stone heads. And a permanent engravement. No one can change this. I change not. Read verse 9 again and then read verse 10 to conclude it.
Verse 9, quote, "For behold, the stone that I have laid before Joshua, upon one stone shall be 7 eyes. Behold, I will engrave the graving thereof."
To the engraving? All 7 chapters had an eye, and every eye shall see him. Revelation chapter 1, verse 7. I dare you to challenge me and ask me about some eye. I have no idea. Read the rest of it.
Said the Lord of hosts, "And I will remove the iniquity of that land in one day."
Read verse 11.
Verse 10. Verse 10.
You can't read verse 11? Because it's been engraved. This is that day that the Lord told me, my father told me to reveal to the planet. Read verse 10.
Verse 10. In that day.
You can't read verse 11? It's 1:1. Okay, read it. Read verse 10.
In that day, saith the Lord of hosts, shall ye call every man his neighbor.
Only every man or just some?
Every man. His neighbor under the vine and under the fig tree.
I'm the fig tree also. I'm known as the fig tree of Matthew chapter 24. I'm the fig tree. And ever since I sealed the fig tree, the theologians of you are trying to figure it out. Fig tree, short for figurative. Fig tree. You sure it's not a verse 11? One, that's I, even I. Of Ezekiel chapter 34, verse 11. I, even I. Anyway, these 7 shepherds, also known as the septuplets. Septuplets all came out of the womb in a month called September of their calendar. All of them. Also known as the Feast of Tabernacles. On the same day. That's why you're to observe the Feast of Tabernacles. Because of these septuplets. Because of these 7 shepherds. That's all one. One man. Now go and read Micah chapter 5 verse 5 again. As we close. Read Micah chapter 5 verse 5. Read after the man peace. You read the man peace. This man should be the peace. So read after that where it says, and when he shall tread.
And when he shall tread in our palaces. Then shall we raise against him 7 shepherds and 8 principal men.
And I just did. That means those who watch this, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, or whoever forwards it and shares it, is going to get back to those who tread in our palaces over the Middle East. Especially those Assyrians and those false Yehudites, Edomites, the Edomites. They're in our palaces. No wonder Israel started having a war recently with Tel Aviv and Gaza. They're going to have a war. They're going to get out of our land. So now you know who the 7 shepherds are. Now let me introduce you as we close to the 8 principal men. 8 of them. And they are as numbered. Number 1, Moshe. And his 5 books that was shared in the thesis of I Change Not, Moshe. Number 2, Isaiah, Yahshua, and his book. Number 3, Yirmiyahu, and his book. Number 4, Daniel, or Daniel, and his book. Number 5, Hosea, and his book. Number 6, Zechariah, and his book. Number 7, Yoel. That's 7, his book. And finally, number 8, who? Ezekiel. His book. His book featured this thesis that housed the valley of the shadow of bones, of dry bones, in chapter 37, as well as the 2 sticks of Ephraim and Judah. If you choose to stay divided by your own self in your own congregation, as that shepherd of that congregation, if you choose to be a shepherd of your own people that you created and your own sheep that are following you, then that is how you will remain. You will remain as your own shepherd with your own sheep. And if they have sense enough to leave you, then they will. But if not, then they won't have any sense enough. They will follow you as stone heads. They'll follow you. They're going to follow you right to hell. You shall remain just where you are, outside of New Jerusalem, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Do you hear what I'm saying? Well, I pray you did, because that's all that I have to say. Praise Jehovah.
Praise Jehovah.